All right, today we're going on a quest, a really high-stakes one. The goal? To get a high-risk medical device, think cosmetic fillers, approved for sale in China, one of the most lucrative markets in the world. This is a story about huge challenges and even bigger rewards. First up, let's talk about the prize. The market for medical aesthetics in China is absolutely massive. We're talking about $1 billion opportunity for any company that can get its foot in the door. For manufacturers of things like skin boosters and fillers, this is the ultimate treasure.
But, a prize like that doesn't come easy. It comes at a very steep price. Getting access means navigating one of the most complex and rigorous regulatory journeys on the entire planet. This isn't just about filling out forms, it's a total endurance test.
So are you ready to jump in? Let's break down exactly what it takes to conquer this regulatory mountain.
To really get what's at stake with this billion-dollar prize, we have to understand the products. So what exactly makes a product high risk in the eyes of Chinese regulators? Let's get into the specifics.
We are talking about products that come into direct contact with human tissue. Things like lifting threads, skin boosters, and all kinds of injectable fillers. Because of that direct contact, China puts them in Class 3. That's the highest possible risk category, which demands the absolute strictest safety controls.
And all that strictness? Well, it translates into time. A lot of time. A typical registration cycle is already 2 to 3 years, but for complex products, the source material is clear. This whole process can easily stretch to over 5 years. That is a huge commitment before you ever make a single sale.
To even start this journey, you first have to come face-to-face with the ultimate gatekeeper.
And that is the NMPA, the National Medical Products Administration. They are the one and only authority that can give you the green light. Every single application, every piece of data, every test report, it all has to go through them. There are no shortcuts, and there are definitely no backdoors.
But here's a critical rule you just can't ignore. You are not allowed to do this alone. The NMPA requires every single overseas manufacturer to have a partner on the ground in China.
This partner is called a domestic agent. And let's be super clear here, this isn't some optional consultant you can hire if you feel like it. It's a mandatory Chinese legal entity that has to hold its own Class 3 medical device license. So choosing the right agent isn't just a small step, it's a huge strategic decision that can literally make or break your entire quest.
And their job? Oh, it's huge. They are your one and only point of contact with the NMPA. They handle all the documents. And their work doesn't stop when you get approval. They're on the hook for ongoing compliance, which includes setting up systems to report any problems after your product hits the market.
Okay, so you've got your guide, now you're ready to step into the main event, what I'm calling the 5-stage gauntlet. This thing will test every single aspect of your company and your product.
So here's the roadmap for what's ahead. It kicks off with the formal submission, then goes into a really deep technical evaluation, then administrative approval, the actual issuing of the certificate, and finally, ongoing post-registration supervision. Let's dig into that all-important submission phase.
So, first things first. Before they even glance at your product, the NMPA wants to know who you are. This means you have to submit all your company's qualifications, your business license, your quality certifications like ISO, basically proving you're a legitimate, high-quality manufacturer.
Okay, so they know who you are. Now, you've got to prove what your product actually is and what it does. This means a mountain of technical files, performance test reports, and super detailed instructions. Every single claim you make has to be backed up with solid data.
And now for the big one, the absolute deal breaker. You have to prove, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your product is safe for people in China. This means a massive clinical evaluation. You might have to run expensive clinical trials inside China or painstakingly prove why your data from overseas should apply.
So you've submitted everything. Now you hit your first major test, the acceptance review. And this is a huge fork in the road. If your application is perfect, you get an acceptance notice and move on. But if anything at all is missing or wrong, your application gets kicked back with a correction notice.
And that notice starts a ticking clock. And when I say ticking clock, I mean it. You have exactly 60 working days to fix every single problem, not a day more. If you miss that deadline, your submission is automatically withdrawn. All that time, all that money, just gone. The pressure is on.
But okay, let's say you pass that hurdle. Even while your file is in technical review, there's another little surprise that could pop up. For these high-risk products, the NMPA can decide, hey, we're going to do an on-site inspection of your factory overseas just to verify everything in person.
So imagine this. After years of hard work, you've finally done it. You passed the reviews, you passed the inspections, you've reached the summit, you got approved. But here's the thing about life at the top. The journey is not over. Getting the certificate is actually the start of a whole new chapter.
Your prize for running this entire gauntlet is the Medical Device Registration Certificate. This is your golden ticket to the market. But, and this is a big but, it's not a lifetime pass. That certificate is valid for exactly 5 years.
Just look at this timeline. The work is never really done. Your domestic agent is constantly monitoring for adverse events. If you make any big changes to your product, that's a whole separate registration process. And maybe most important of all, your renewal isn't due after 5 years. You have to submit it 6 months before it expires, or you risk losing your spot in the market.
You know, it all boils down to this quote from our source material, which just says it all. Success here isn't about luck. It's about meticulous, systematic planning and paying full attention all the time to minimize the very real risk of failure.
Which brings us right back to where we started. We've seen the incredible prize and the grueling, multi-year quest you have to survive to claim it. So for a shot at $1 billion market, is a quest this difficult, with all of its costs and risks, actually worth it? Well, that's the big question every single company has to answer for them.